the various statements, particularly that of the... We don't need a government that will pretend to be solving a problem, but then just using chopper to mock our misery. And lastly, we don't elect leaders to tell us our problems. We elect leaders to fix our problems. If President Mahama is tired, he can leave the position for somebody who is also ready to lead us to that promised land. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by also commending the makers of the various statements, particularly that of the Honorable Asensi Boache, who has institutional memory about some of the issues that was particularly discussed during his tenure. And my wonderful friend and chairman, Oti Bless. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear on one thing, that under the previous Mahama government, of which my good friend and brother Felix Kwachiofosu was part, on a single night in June 2015, we lost over 150 lives. Single night. Then the Ghanaian people asked them to retire in 2016. They spent 8 years studying what the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government was initiating and implementing gradually. Mr. Speaker, again, they inherited a country where, in fact, President Mahama is one of the luckiest presidents in the world. Your predecessor left a roadmap, completely had gone through a comprehensive review of Accra flooding situation. The Honorable Asensi Boache, in his statement, clearly enumerated the number of projects initiated under the Akufo-Addo administration. Today, the NDC that took pride, solace, and comfort in politicizing every flood situation in Ghana from 2017 to 2024 is today playing the role of John Paul II, our Pope, late, and behaving as if Ghana only started in 2017. Mr. Speaker, behind the statistics we see on TV are human lives being lost. People have lost their livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, somebody might have gone for a 2,000 CD loan. Today, that money is gone. I have seen a wonderful video of my good friend Felix Kwachiofosu during the floods with his staff when they were cheering you on in your jersey, Ghana jersey. People were dying around that time, my brother. Again, Mr. Speaker, when the rain started, I can pardon Felix. I can pardon Felix when he's coming from a background of not knowing how this whole rain started. Mr. Speaker, he was in the US maybe when the rain started. But people have lost their livelihoods. Press conferences won't desilt our gutters. Press conferences won't solve the problems of our poor drainage system. In fact, as Asensu stated, the Honorable Asensu Boache stated, where the NDC used to have their headquarters, before God being so good, they were able to move to a plush area around Adabraka. The Nima Paloma Odona drains. It was under the NPP that we clearly initiated and fixed that issue. We started that of the Buzia N1 highway, the drainage system. South Kaneshi started under the NPP. We, in fact, under the Garrett project, we had secured funding and started the project. From January 2025 up to date, all we've been hearing, press conferences, committees. And today I'm surprised to see the Minister for Interior here. Because in the government's anti-flood task force, the Minister for Interior is not even part. So who is even managing the flood situation in our country? You put a deputy chief of staff with no compelling controlling role and mandate to coordinate two ministers, that of local government and that of works and housing, a deputy chief of staff. The Minister for Interior, in the midst of the crisis, appeared before Parliament and speaking on behalf of a task force that is not even part. Mr. Speaker, I clearly believe that this is the time that we need leadership. Leadership is not a team sport. When you are elected to lead, you lead. This is not the time for settings, PR, bloggers, patrolling left, right, and center because government wants to score political points. We need answers, and we don't need a government that will pretend to be solving a problem, but then just using chopper to mock our misery. And lastly, we don't elect leaders to tell us our problems. We elect leaders to fix our problems. If President Mahama is tired, he can leave the position for somebody who is also ready to lead us to that promised land. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to comment on the statement made by the Honorable Minister for Interior, my good friend and brother, the Honorable Francis Asenso-Boakye, and the Chairman of the Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, we comment on these matters with a heavy heart. A major, very disturbing disaster is befalling our capital city, Accra, and all of us are united in grief and support to those affected. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, literally everybody across board has been affected one way or the other. Mr. Speaker, it's important for us to be blunt when we are commenting on these matters. Mr. Speaker, the statements made by the three speakers have all indicated that there are various causes of flooding, various causes that can be attributed to flooding. But Mr. Speaker, it's important for us to also acknowledge that coordination is absolutely important, especially coordination at the level of government. Mr. Speaker, I say this by making reference to a public statement made by the Honorable Minister for Local Government. Mr. Speaker, and I heard him myself, where he said that one of the main reasons for the breakdown of sanitation in Accra and other parts of the country is because government is taking a deliberate decision to allocate the sanitation budget to municipal, metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. And that, Mr. Speaker, these budgets are not being utilized by the MMDAs. And indeed, he posed a question that can anybody challenge him that the budget which has now been hiked and paid to the assemblies directly, are those budgets being utilized or not? Mr. Speaker, we also know of a committee which is chaired by the Deputy Chief of Staff at the Presidency, where there are issues of coordination as to which ministry exactly is responsible for sanitation in our country. The Honorable Francis Asenso-Boakye, Mr. Speaker, made allusions to some very important interventions which were in place prior to the assumption of office of this government, and which intervention seems to have been truncated. So, Mr. Speaker, the point I make is that we can go on and on about citizens being responsible. All of those are well and good. Building in waterways, all of those are accepted. But, Mr. Speaker, if we are going to call a spade, it is clear that there is a need for government to streamline coordination as to which governmental authority is responsible for sanitation, responsible for works, responsible for desilting, and responsible for putting in place, Mr. Speaker, pre-flooding mitigation measures. Mr. Speaker, a lot of interventions seems to be rolled out now. 350 million, 150 million to work on flood mitigation. The fundamental question, Mr. Speaker, that I believe many citizens across Accra and across many parts of our country where this flooding is taking place is, what prevented us from putting these measures in place when we knew that the rainy season will happen June, July, August? What prevented us? Why must we wait, Mr. Speaker, for flooding to occur, for 12 people to die, for citizens to lose their properties, for businesses to collapse, for areas upon areas to be devastated, and for citizens to suffer, only for us to now say that we are releasing 150 million Ghana cedis for flood mitigation? Mr. Speaker, my little street understanding of mitigation and prevention is that you take the measures before the event occurs. And Mr. Speaker, we all know in this country that Accra, every June and July, Accra is subject to flood-related devastations. So what stopped us from putting these measures in place? And why should, Mr. Speaker, and I conclude on that, why should ministers who have been appointed and given responsibility to offer coordination and oversight on government departments and agencies responsible for flooding and desilting, now come to tell us after the flooding has occurred and after a lot of devastation has happened that assemblies are not working. Assemblies are not spending the money. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit here. We commensurate with the people, but enough of the talking. Let's have some action and let's get to work, because a lot is happening which I believe affects coordination.
Speaker, I want to first and foremost express my condolence heartfelt to the families who have lost their lives and properties. The Speaker, that being said, I am surprised to hear that my honorable colleague who just spoke is saying that we are making noise. Speaker, I don't know whether the families that have lost their lives, or Ghanaians that have lost their properties, or Ghanaians that are crying for help, I don't know who is making the noise, because this is a very important, critical, key matter. So, Mr. Speaker, if we are trying to register our concerns and also contribute and sympathize with families, and our colleagues are saying we are making noise, Mr. Speaker, it is something that Ghanaians will judge for themselves. Mr. Speaker, I want to take you to the 2025 financial budget. Speaker, paragraph 589. The finance minister, the Speaker, admitted that between 2020, 2023, and 2024, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government, the Speaker, drained and dredged 1,000 kilometers of drains. The Speaker, he also mentioned works that have been done. When you go to paragraph 599, the Speaker, that's the document I have here. And if you want, I will read. The Speaker, paragraph 589. 1,000 kilometers of drainage works were done or was done by the NPP government. Mr. Speaker, when you go to the 2026 budget, paragraph 527, 15 months in government, only 40 kilometers have been done. 40 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, it tells you the commitment of the government that made this flooding a major issue before coming to government. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 flood that happened, even though it was minimal, even though it was, it was not compared to what we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, he blamed government failure. He blamed engineering problem. Mr. Speaker, in 2025 when he assumed the office, now shift from the engineering problem and now blame attitudinal. Mr. Speaker, committee was formed to give solutions to this flooding. The committee only flew helicopter and came back, and then the flood got worse. And in addressing the flood, we find the president flying helicopter again when he knew the problems that were confronting Ghana before assuming office. Mr. Speaker, commitment, political commitment here must be prioritized, and that is important. We cannot. Majority leader mentioned that every year we come here to talk about flooding. Yes, it is true, but we have not demonstrated any commitment, none, and it has been partisan, politicized each year and each year. And we make huge political capitals. When we come, we renege on the work. Mr. Speaker, you made huge political capital from this work, but you came and reneged. Mr. Speaker, I heard the president yesterday mentioning and instructing the finance minister to allocate 300 million for the flood issues. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. 350 million. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. You see, I am concerned because when the Akosomo and the Tong water or flooding issues happened, Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget made allocation for them and it didn't go. The 2026 added another allocation, it didn't go. When the cocoa issue came, the president again directed the Minister of Finance to make allocation for cocoa farmers. from November last year to this year, July this year, the money hasn't gone. So I am very concerned about another directive that has been made. Whether that one is also going to be another political cliche. We must demonstrate and show action, not just talk, not just the gimmicks. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we stop the gimmickry, we stop the settings, we stop the scam, and deal with the issues, well. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to urge that we be sincere to the Ghanaian people in dealing with this flood matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful.
I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Phyllis Ofosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing a very serious problem. Tens of thousands of our compatriots find themselves in a dire situation. They are displaced. In other words, their regular place of abode have been taken away from them through natural causes. Over 7,000 households find themselves in distress. 12 people have been confirmed to have lost their lives, and 7 people remain missing as we speak. So, Mr. Speaker, just like the Ecclesia says in the Bible, we must understand that there is time for everything. This is not the time for misguided politicking and vacuous political rhetoric intended to achieve political ends, short-term sectarian ends. It is the reason why I'm surprised about some of the claims being made by our colleagues on the other side. For some reason, we are told that there is some lack of coordination. Mr. Speaker, it is a contrived position. The committee set up by the President to coordinate efforts to tackle flooding has not in any way resulted in a lack of coordination. There is nothing wrong with putting together a team to help address an existing problem. As they themselves will be clearly aware, this is a multi-sectorial issue, and therefore there are multiple agencies at play. So coordination led by a deputy chief of staff is in order. No evidence exists of this lack of coordination. It must be placed on record. So at the time when our compatriots are suffering, we do not expect such untrue claims to be made. Mr. Speaker, it has also been claimed that this government has waited for flooding before releasing money for relief. Mr. Speaker, who releases money for relief in advance of the occurrence of the problem? You can only relieve people who are in distress. Yesterday, when I issued a statement, or this morning when I issued a statement on behalf of His Excellency the President, I stated clearly that parts of the money will go towards providing relief for the 38,000 people who are displaced. That could not have been known last week or the week before. Again, another 150 million Ghana cedis is programmed to help address problems brought on by the flooding, which can lead to more flooding. So there's nothing wrong with mitigating the impact of further rainfall. And Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about normal rainfall. We are talking about 170 millimeters of rain in a space of 13 hours. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last year, June, only 56 millimeters of rainfall was recorded. The whole month of June last year. This year, in just 13 hours, 2 days ago, 170 millimeters of rain fell. It is an extraordinary situation that could not have been foreseen, and is the reason why the impact appears to be bigger. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues are also rankled that in the past they were held responsible for flooding. If you stay in power for 8 years, you have no excuse than to take responsibility for flooding, a problem that you should have solved within that period. They claim that they committed hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to addressing it. Mr. Speaker, what was the outcome of that expenditure? How do you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis on resolving a problem only for it to get worse? It means that the money was either not properly utilized,
or the wrong approach was adopted. So every Ghanaian citizen has the right to carpet you and criticize you for failure after 8 years. Nobody is going to give you a bouquet of flowers. We won't pour gold, frankincense on myrrh on you for failing within 8 years to address the problem. But President Mahama has agreed that it is his responsibility as president to address this problem, and therefore he is going to take steps, very drastic steps, to address it. We just need to give him our support and a bit of time to address the issue comprehensively as he intends to do. That really is the tone that we should be adopting in this discussion, and not the usual grandstanding that we engage in. Nobody expects that a decades-old problem will be addressed within 1.5 years. It is not a full expectation to have. In light of the resources required.
I think your time is up. Your time is up. Yes, leadership.
Speaker, with your leave, may I yield my place to the Honorable Intim Fojo.
Yes, Honorable Intim Fojo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to thank the leadership for yielding the place to me, and to thank the makers of the statement, and foremost condolences and sympathies to all victims affected in the flood that occurred in Tema and Accra, especially the families of the 12 that lost their lives, the hundreds of thousands of households whose properties, homes, workplaces, churches, schools, and mosques were ravaged by floods, and the millions of individuals affected, and the thousands who have been displaced and now needing shelter, emergency reliefs, and support. Mr. Speaker, if you watched some of the sad flood situations and you saw our compatriots floating on the floods and crying for their lives, if you saw people who are carried away in their kiosk crying for help, and many children that were drowning, your first intuition will not be which political party they belong to. And all they are looking for is somebody to help them, to save them. It's not about NDC, it's not about NPP. It's not a time for blame shifting. It's not a time to point fingers. It's a time for action. It's a time for us to provide help. It's a time to solve this perennial situation. From all the contributions that have come up, one thing that is clear is that we know the solution. So if we know the solution, what the Ghanaian people expect of us is that now is the time, let us fix it once and for all. How many people are we expecting to die before we come and talk again? There were some concerns about how was funds in the past spent. Now we have the opportunity. Another 300 million cedis is going to be released. We should be concerned, how do we apply this 300 million cedis to ensure that the plights of the affected hundreds of thousands of people in Accra and Tema are solved? And how do we ensure that it will not be misappropriated, but the right measures deployed? We have Ghana Meteorological Agency who have predicted that within this week, apart from the rainstorm that occurred 2 days ago, today and tomorrow it will ease, but Thursday, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, it would expect similar volumes of rains. What that means is that we should be preparing for a similar disaster. Perish the thought, if God does not hear our prayers, and if nothing, contrary happens, and the prediction of GMET comes to pass, what that means is that we should be preparing for a disaster to the level of what we experienced 2 days ago. And therefore, it will not just be 300 million that is allocated, but this is the time that the government must declare Tema and Accra disaster emergency zone. All our security agencies and emergency relief agencies must be deployed full scale in the coordinated fashion, particularly to the high spots, the flash points. To how do we ensure that in the event that similar such floods occurs within the week, how do we timely go to the rescue of our compatriots? How do we ensure that certain roads that are blocked with intervention and coordination between urban roads and Ghana Highway authorities, we deploy adequate measures so that 300,000 that is going to be released should not just be monies on paper that may not be able to be accounted for. It should reflect in release commensurate to the people that are looking up to us for solutions. They are not looking up to us to play blame games. Let us be empathetic to our people. So after we have focused our energies in solving and responding to the emergency on our hands, we all have professed the solution. We need to now sit and properly structure that once and for all we have an opportunity to solve the perennial flooding situation in this country so that no Ghanaian life must be lost in the case that can be preventable. So we empathize with the larger population of Ghanaians, particularly the Tema and Accra. When the president flew in a helicopter and looked around, there was not a single neighborhood in the Tema and Accra zone that was not flooded. That is a serious disaster. That is a serious emergency situation that requires adequate urgency. So we expect to see the Ministry of National Security, Interior with the National Security deployed. All security agencies must bring their hands and expertise to bear, such that the 300 million cedis that is going to be released will be expended well to alleviate the plight of the residents of Accra, so that thereafter we solve this problem once and for all. Condolences and sympathies once again. Thank you.
Yes, majority leadership.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think a lot has been said by colleagues on the matter. As a House, I believe I speak for all of us if I on behalf of this House, express our most sincere condolences to the bereaved families, many who have lost their lives in the floods. Also, as a House, I believe I speak for all of us if I extend on your behalf our sympathy to those who are affected by the disaster. I believe there are many who still don't have a home to retreat to by close of business today. Many have had their belongings damaged. Many cannot even identify the location or whereabouts of their children.
Majority Leader, hold it, they should keep your time for you. Honorable Minority Leader, what rules have been breached?
Mr. Speaker, we in leadership are supposed to guide you. And when we reach an agreement and there's any need for variation, we have the usual channels of communication. Mr. Speaker, my chief whip made an application to you, and later, by understanding between us, I mean leadership, there was supposed to be a communication to you for a variation to allow one each, so that Mr. Ayerga and my good self would conclude. Mr. Speaker, when he got up, I had the impression that he was going to re-echo what had been said. But then I noticed that he was contributing. Mr. Speaker, my side spoke. I have a duty to close the views for and on behalf of my side. Mr. Speaker, it is true that you had earlier made a call, leadership, and my respected colleague indicated that Honorable Ntimfojio should have his place. But, Mr. Speaker, the understanding prior was that he was going to speak.
I only want you to put it right. He said they are yielding to Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Ntimfojio. That was the word he used.
Mr. Speaker, don't worry. I won't do any mischief. Which, please. I am making the point, and I'll put out the fact. If in the end you say no, I will yield. But
Yes.
please hear me.
Okay.
My colleague, the Chief Whip, Honorable Anodom Prez, when you called leadership, the earlier understanding we had here was that he would have a bite before I conclude. And that was supposed to be communicated to you. So when you made a call and he yielded, it was our error that we should have given you that indication that this was the understanding that we've reached at the level of leadership, that there will be one more. Mr. Speaker, I don't have a problem. Well, Mr. Speaker, the majority, well, I don't, Mr. Speaker, the point is that we had an understanding to add one more to give way for our colleague to speak. We indicated that to the majority leader, Mr. Speaker, through our usual channels of communication. Mr. Speaker, it does, Mr. Speaker, we indicated that through the communication sent to you. Mr. Speaker, it is a usual practice in this house. No, but I mean, this
Yes,
is not matter.
honorable members, this one, without much we do, we agreed.
Yes.
Before
we agreed
the comment.
We agreed on the we
Yes.
agreed on the number of people who will comment on both sides. So when it got to your turn for leadership to comment, you were not in the chamber. You were not in the chamber, unfortunately. And then your whip decided that for the slot of leadership, you were going to yield to him. So we agreed. Whilst he was speaking, you then came in and signaled to your whip that you wanted to contribute. And then you beckoned me, and I said, well, try and get the approval of the speaker. I don't have a problem if you get the approval of the speaker. So make an application. So I even turned and asked my side if any one of them was willing to speak, because we had gotten to the point where leaders were supposed to comment. So just get up and put an application to the speaker. So you've yielded your slot to him, and unfortunately, you've lost it. But all the explanations you are giving, there was no such understanding. You came in late and you want to speak. Try and get the speaker to agree. If he doesn't agree, I'll continue my comments.
Members, I intend not to vary the decision reached by the House, that 5-5 plus leadership. And once the minority leadership has yielded to Honorable Ntimfojio, that suffices. Let us not create impression that somebody is doing anything wrong. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
So, Mr. Speaker, I just made 2 points: that this House expresses our condolences to the families of those who have died, perished in this flooding incident, and to also express our sympathy for all those who got injured, and those who have lost property, and those who have been rendered destitute as a result of the flooding. I think that one key point emerges from our comments, which is that let's do less talking and let's take action. Less talking, more action. We need to act as leaders. And we need to act at all levels. Mention has been made of decentralization. the local government authorities are primarily responsible for the planning of their districts. Let them be serious about their job, which is planning and zoning and determining where residential property should be located, where other property should be located, and making way for drainage. We talked about financing. Let it be known that the infrastructure involved to solve this problem is huge, and therefore serious financing needs to be put in place. But financing cannot come from government alone. Financing must come from all interested parties.
It is on today's order paper be moved today.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I disagree with the contention by the majority leader that what members here in this house is immaterial. Mr. Speaker, we are here to guide the chair. I only out of respect yielded to you because you are the presiding officer. But for the majority leader to state for the records that when a member hears a submission, which submission does not conform to the rules, amount to nothing, Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit. It's neither here nor there. You made a point. I didn't want to argue with you.
But unfortunately, you have not stated the rules that the minister has
Mr.
breached.
Speaker, under what rules did he himself also come? If you are moving a motion, you move a motion. A motion is to be properly moved.
He started by saying that he wants to move the motion numbered.
Mr. Speaker, if a member
36.
says, I want to move a motion numbered this, does that amount to moving a motion? Mr. Speaker, I don't want to challenge you.
No,
but if you want to come to his rescue, Mr. Speaker, then come to his rescue well.
You are being semantic.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not. How do you move a motion? There's a way, a manner, a motion is moved. But Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to litigate. After all, the majority leader says that what we hear,
I don't want
that is immaterial. So no problem. Mr. Speaker,
majority and the minority leader
Mr. Speaker,
to
you are
be
the
this
presiding officer.
So the motion is ably moved. I will then call on the chairman of the committee to present the committee's reports.
You have taught us in this house how to respect procedure, and I'm not litigating. 97.3 is clear. If it is the case that the minister is laying a paper, then what he did will suffice. Why he's coming under 165, second reading, a motion of a second reading, he did not have to prefix with those explanatory, elucidation. Speaker, so by procedure, Speaker, you are in charge. You can decide to ignore. But for the records, he did not move the motion as a second reading of a bill. He did not do it well.
I have not seen anything,
I'm not dragging this matter.
anything procedurally wrong.
For the records,
because the minister or a member is moving a motion and urging upon the House to agree and adopt the motion. If he has any reason to convince the House to agree on the motion, stating that is not of a problem.
Speaker, we admire you. You have always insisted on procedure.
Yes, but stating that is not a problem within the rules.
Procedurally, you came under 97. I think you were coming under 97.3, which is wrong. That is when you are laying a paper and you have to give explanation to the paper. 97.3. But when you are coming under 163, which is second reading of a bill, where we are moving a motion for the report to be taken, you did not do it well. So Minister, just proceed and read what is there, and then your chairman, even second reading, he cannot second. That is second reading. Your chairman can come and support and present the report. So it's done.
Speaker, with respect, the minister came under Order 91 of the rules of this House. 93. Well, whichever rule you came under, the provisions are very clear. There must be prior approval from Speaker, which suggests that Speaker would have seen a copy of the statement and approve of state that it complies with don't worry. Mr. Speaker, I submit that there is no formal ministerial statement. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are here. The leaders, 5 year, 5 year. At least, members should have copies of this ministerial statement. Mr. Speaker, at a point, the minister delved into politics. He moved away from whatever formal statement and was now raising very controversial issues. So he should make available the copy of the statement which was approved by you. Let us have printed copies, or even soft copies should be put on the console, so that members who want to contribute will properly anchor their submissions. We don't want situations where you would come and say you didn't say this and miss somebody is misconstruing you. So make it available. Mr. Speaker, you have always been insisting on the rules. But if a cabinet minister decides to take the law into his own hands, Mr. Speaker, the entire house will be watching the pronouncement that will come out from the presiding officer. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we can excuse the minority leader for all the things that he has said, because he was late. He came into this chamber after we had commenced proceedings, and he came much after we had sought your permission in the absence of a formal written statement, given the exigencies of the times, for the minister to make a statement to the House. A statement need not be written. A statement need not be written. But in any case, the Speaker dispensed with those requirements and granted the minister the permission. And I expressly stated when making the application to the minister that the statement was not ready. I made that statement, that it wasn't ready. But the matter is so urgent that he should grant leave for the minister to make the statement. And he did grant leave for the minister to make statements. And the statement has been very rich. A lot of facts, details, dates, incidents that have occurred, the locations where the incidents have occurred, and the moment when the statement is made, every member is supposed to, in silence, listen. And having listened, you are deemed to have received copies of the statement, because you have heard every single sentence. You have heard every single sentence. You have become aware. You have become aware of the facts. The facts. Because the statement is about facts. And you have become aware of the facts. And so, having become aware of the facts, if the Speaker now gives us the opportunity to comment, you can comment on the basis of what you have heard. That is perfectly the practice in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, like I indicated, we had agreed that the two statements will be taken